right, welcome to RetroLogic. I'm Sam Wagers, and joining me today, as always, is John Cummins.
Howdy.
And with us today, we have two, not one, but two very special guests. Chris HL94 from the Nintendo Dads blog, and Tim Aulph from the Nintendo Dads and the Dinner Table podcast. How are you today, Chris?
I'm great, Sam. Thanks.
Tim, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm excited to be here. This is awesome. I think this is the first time I'm like an official RetroLogic episode guest. I did a special
hard
one.
To believe,
but
yeah,
we're glad to have you.
Metroid, right?
Yeah, the Metroid special one we did, but yeah, I didn't get to do an episode yet, so this is fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, me too. I think this will be the only time I'll ever be asked on as an expert, though.
I don't know.
Well, we'll have
Future's
to wait
looking
and
bright.
see. A lot ahead. Well, this week we will be talking about sports games, NHL 94, of course, and the GameCube turning 20, and so much more. But first, we'll be talking about what we've been buying and what we've been playing. So, guests go first. We'll start with you, Tim.
Well, first I just noticed this is episode 50. I mean, that's got to be something. I mean, I know it's not episode 100 and all that, but it's episode 50. It's like the halfway mark.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
A milestone.
That's a milestone, right? Congratulations.
And
episode
since
50.
we're a weekly
That's-
podcast, it also means we're coming up on 1 year.
Yeah, all right.
It just so happens to coincide with Plocktober. It's almost like we planned it, but we didn't.
Yeah, you did. You know you did.
I don't think when Dan started the podcast, he knew we would be obsessed with Plock a year later.
That was his whole scheme.
Yeah, it's kind of unfolded over time. But it all works out.
Well, it does. So what I've been playing, actually, is what I bought and what I've been playing is I bought Mario Hoops 3 on 3 from you, John. Right? Didn't I buy that from you?
Yeah, for the DS.
So I know it's about a month since I bought it from you, maybe a little bit longer. But
close enough. I lose track of time.
Yeah, me too. It all blends together. But I finally got my hands on it and played it. So just went through the tutorial and learned how to dribble the ball and use the touchscreen mechanics and all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting. I mean, because I never played 3 on 3. I thought I did, but I didn't. So it's I'm glad I picked it up because it's very unique style mechanics there with the stylus controlling everything. But it hurts your hand because you got to put all the weight of in this case, the 3DS in my hand, and while I'm trying to use the circle pad on it and use the touchscreen. So it's kind of got that, Kid Icarus crunch your hand feel.
Yeah,
you're almost
that was a problem with a number of 3DS games.
Yeah, you're almost better trying to set that one down on a table and kind of using your circle pad with your finger and then doing a
yes, that's a good point.
Stylus. Yeah,
I do have a grip for it somewhere. I need to pull it out of the case or something. So I'll probably see if that helps too.
My solution was always to just play sprawled out on the bed on my stomach.
There you go. I do say it's a lot of fun. So especially with the basketball and Mario combination there. So and it almost kind of feels like a NBA Jam type feel to it too, with some of the special moves with the slam dunks and you're on fire type things. So it's pretty cool. A couple other games that I picked up because of Elite Beat Agents. Elite Beat Agents I did with the All In podcast guys over there with their special episode about quirky games that Nintendo does. We did one on Elite Beat Agents, but I found out while doing some research that the Michael Jackson experience for the DS has some of the same Elite Beat Agents mechanics. So I wanted to pick that up, and which I did, and try it out and see if it was like the same mechanics, and it certainly is. But it certainly does not have the same character as Elite Beat Agents. So it's like you're just basically playing Michael Jackson songs, but using the same mechanics you would in Elite Beat Agents to go along with the songs. There's no story as far as I only played maybe about an hour, but there's no story. You're just playing through some songs, trying to unlock some trophies and some more songs or whatever. So it's pretty basic. With that, I actually ordered on accident the 3D version of the 3DS version of Michael Jackson: The Experience. And I figured, oh, what the heck, I'll try them both out just to see what the differences are. And actually, the 3D experience looks and plays a lot better than the DS version, and sounds better too. Because obviously with the DS, the sound wasn't as CD quality as it should be. It's kind of tingy and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But in the 3D experience one, it had way better sound and way better visuals, and it's in 3D.
That's kind of a weird rabbit hole to chase down, is Elite Beat Agent mechanics and then end up with Michael Jackson games.
Yep. So it's funny thing that just coming across, and I like the 3D version a little bit better. It's the same thing though. It's just there's no story, but there's more songs, there's more content in there to unlock. So you got to be a Michael Jackson fan in order to watch or play these games. So. But the mechanics, the touchscreen mechanics for the music, the rhythm game is, I think, a lot more fun in the 3D experience than the regular experience. And then also, I bought and I'm playing Lost in Random, a newer game on the Nintendo Switch. Still been playing that. I played about a couple hours yesterday to get through the third land. So I just got into the fourth one, and I forget all the names. They got quirky names, of course, because it's named after essentially the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think it was 7. But on 6 sides of the dice, essentially, or 6 side of a die. And then, of course, Cruis'n Blast, more of that this week, but more multiplayer with this time my son and my nephews. I got them all to play, and we had a lot of fun with that. And I unlocked the unicorn, so I'm all excited about that. Trying to build up the unicorn to get some. I guess it turns into a Pegasus, so I'm looking forward to that. But that's what I bought and what I've been playing.
All right, Chris, how about you? What have you been up to?
So, like a lot of the Nintendo Switch purchases lately, I'm surprised there's a lack of sports here. I'm going to try to leave that commentary to a minimum, but it might slip in here and there. I did visit RetroLogic.games, and I got a great copy, a clean tested copy of Dokapon Country for the SNES. I've been getting to that. I think we got to the first save point. I know we played this a little while ago for Retro Rewind on NSO, but I want to have the original hardware, and I'm really liking that. And on the retro side, I picked up a couple of collections, Konami collections, the Contra collection and the Castlevania collection. I'm really enjoying going back, playing some of the old Castlevania and Contra games that I didn't really get to when I was younger and had my own NES or SNES. And I guess for modern games, the most recent purchase was WarioWare Get It Together. And I'm playing through that on my own and with my son, and we're part of the Nintendo Dad's monthly mayhem. We're trying to set the record. I know Sam's put up a big score so far. I don't know if we're going to get to your score, Sam, but we'll do our best.
Oh, I think Andros has topped me already.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. What I've been playing, and this was a bit of an accomplishment for me. I'm patting myself on the back. Through the community crossplay, I was playing Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I was playing on 3DS, but it was just a couple weeks ago I finally got the end. It beat Ganon. I did use some guide, and I did use some help. I was watching, I think, community member Hamo Johnny's. He was streaming on Twitch. But I'd never played the game before. I would say that I think this, more than any other Zelda game I've ever played, there's so much outside of the dungeons that you really need to know about, and that's why I found a guide was almost essential, because you would have known to take a bomb over here and throw that thing in the river and get this back and get your sword, upgraded and all that. It was a lot. So I enjoyed the game though, but I definitely I found it was a struggle just to go through on my own. I needed some direction.
I can definitely remember when I beat that the first time, it was because I was replaying it when I had high-speed internet and could look stuff up on GameFAQs.
It's one of those that's in the same boat as Link's Awakening, that it's not very handholdy. I don't know that it would like. I think it would struggle.
Or the original Zelda, because the original Zelda that's all over the place.
Yeah, I think though that there's a fine line between Link's Awakening and the original Zelda with Link to the Past. Like, as far the gameplay is more engaging, but I think it would still struggle like Link's Awakening did with a remake. A lot of people complain they didn't know where to go in the remake because it's not like other Zeldas where you get to a point where you're stuck. You're not just going to figure it out unless you just completely comb the whole game over to figure out what you're missing. So I think A Link to the Past would struggle in the same way with modern gamers, I think, to where they would get lost fairly easily.
So I was playing that through the community crossplay on Discord, and now that I've done that, I've moved on to my next Zelda challenge, Majora's Mask 3D. And so I've only got maybe an hour or two into that, and I've just finished the first 3 days. But I'm looking forward to putting that down.
I should probably pick that up. I have never played Majora's Mask. That's one of the ones I missed.
Yep, you're done. You can't be on the show anymore.
Oh, okay. Dan hasn't played Link to the Past still.
Yep,
I have not played either of the Majora's Mask or the Ocarina of Time. I've tried. Oh, man. Especially, I have them both on the 3DS. But every time I started it up...
That's high blasphemy, not playing Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time is
I haven't played either of them. I've tried.
We'll be taking your Zelda card, sir.
That's all right. He's got the Metroid card also.
I've got the 2D Zelda, so 3D Zelda is like it's a little iffy for me sometimes. But that was hard for me to get into because I never played it when it came out on the 64. So that's the same with all the 64 games. I have a hard time with.
The 3DS ports are great places to start.
They're places to start, and the Ocarina of Time is really great.
I've got them.
Yeah.
Just haven't touched them. Or I have, I should say. But
people are saying we should have got more Zelda remakes or stuff for the anniversary, but really, like, we got a lot of Zelda games one generation back and this generation. Like, the stuff that's missing is actually, like, the Oracle games and Minish Cap.
Yeah, I want a handheld collection.
Unless you got a 3DS.
Yeah.
With the Ambassador program.
Yeah, then you need an Ambassador 3DS for
Minish Cap.
So then you're talking Phantom Hourglass, and I haven't heard anybody clamoring for Phantom Hourglass.
Me, I love those. I love Phantom Hourglass.
I thought it was fine. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I thought it was a good game. I don't know that it's high up on my rank of Zelda games, but it's still a good game.
It's ranked up there for me. I really enjoyed it. So
it's
the first DS game I played.
With the Game Boy Color games and the Game Boy Advance games being developed by Capcom, like, I'm kind of curious if there's some setbacks there, some reason why we haven't got them re-released yet.
I don't know. I've wondered the same thing.
Same.
John, what have you been playing and buying this week?
Oh, I've got a hefty list this week.
I can see that.
So, it was totally coincidence, but I had this Utopia game for the Intellivision. It's a console strategy game, and I was looking at a flea market, and they had like a brand new copy of it for sale. It was only like $12. This isn't a very valuable game, but I just thought it was too ironic to not pick it up after never hearing of it. It was one of those where I just found a list of games on Price Charting that were strategy games for consoles, like older ones, and then it just showed up, out of nowhere, so I had to pick it up. I also picked up Donkey Kong. the game is actually for the Atari 2600, but it was Coleco branded at the time. It was an earlier version, but it's a complete in box, has the manual and everything in it. It's pretty nice. I picked up Midway Arcade Treasures 3 for the GameCube. This is the one that has Hydro Thunder and San Francisco Rush 2049 on it, and some old arcade racing games from Midway. It just has a whole lot of different... It's all racing games, but quite a few of those are some of my favorites on the older stuff, so I picked them up. I used to play 2049 all the time on N64. Let's see, I got Hyperzone for the Super Nintendo. This is kind of an interesting game because of how it utilizes the Mode 7 graphics. So it's one that I've been wanting to try out. I've heard a lot of good things, and it's also a HAL game, which they're usually pretty good, the earlier stuff.
That's true.
So what else did I get? I got Etrian Odyssey for the DS, loose. And right next to it...
Have you played any of those before?
I have not. This will be my first Etrian Odyssey. I haven't bought any of them. I missed that map out your own dungeon craze.
I got into it late, and I've still never finished either of the games I bought.
There's a bunch of them now.
Yeah. And one of the last 3DS games to come out, I think, was a
4.
Etrian Odyssey game. No, not 4. It was one after that.
Oh, yeah, they did. It was a re-release, wasn't it? Or was it a brand new game?
They did 2 re-releases. The Untold series is remakes of 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That have kind of a more fleshed out like story mode. And then I want to say it was Etrian Odyssey 5.
Yeah, could be.
I don't think it was a spin-off.
Well, anyway, I haven't played any of them, and they had a really good deal on this one, so I went in and grabbed it. And sitting right next to it, just randomly, was Resident Evil Deadly Silence, which is a game I've never seen in person. There's not very many copies out there for the DS. I don't even know if I don't know when I'll have time to play it. I've popped it in to make sure it worked, and that was about as far as I got. But it's one of those that I've always seen or heard talked about, but I never experienced it when it was originally released on the DS. At that same flea market, they had a copy of Majora's Mask for the N64, the collector's edition one with the lenticular label, and I already own it. It was a pretty good deal, and I figured that somebody in the community might want it, and I guessed right, because as soon as I asked, $2 Hero was like, yeah, I need that game. So he hurried up and snatched it up. So I was like, well, it's a good deal, and
You're a guy who gets people things.
Yeah, I was like, I need to somebody will enjoy this. Cut him a pretty good deal on it. Yeah. Tim also. And then I got...
Yeah, I just missed that one.
Yeah, it didn't stay up there very long. He's like, has anybody else asked about this? I was like, nope, you're the first one. It's yours if you want it. So I made his day. And then I got Shin Megami Tensei: The Devil Survivor Record Breaker 2. This is a game that my brother found at the Goodwill for $3 and didn't know what it was and asked me if I wanted it, and I was like, sure. And I gave him $3 for it. And being a Shin Megami Tensei game, it's pretty valuable. It's around like a $35 game, I think.
Doesn't surprise me.
I don't know that I'll play it because it's the second one in the series. And the first one's even more valuable and harder to get, so I probably won't ever come across it randomly like this one. So I don't know if I'll even play it. I might end up getting rid of this one down the line.
I've jumped into the middle of series plenty of times. It usually doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but Shin Megami Tensei is usually like heavy story-based stuff.
Yeah, but don't most of them usually have like a brand new protagonist every game? I thought.
I think they do on the normal series, but I don't know on the spin-offs if they do or not, because this is a spin-off of the DS games, I believe. Well, it's a 3DS game, but I don't know. It was just something, he had it randomly, so I figured I'd pick it up off of him.
Still, $3 is
$3,
pretty good.
yeah.
Pretty good deal.
He finds the craziest things at Goodwill. I get stuff from him all the time. I also, not listed on here, but I also got some steering wheel controllers for the PS2 and one for the PS4 that I haven't tested out yet, but paid like $10 for them. One of them's a full set of PS4 with the pedals and everything. So yeah, he's always finding some crazy stuff for me too. And then I picked up Alien Syndrome for the PSP and Time Stalkers for the Dreamcast from Zach in our Discord. He had a post where he just had there was hundreds of items that he had just plastered on the marketplace for a little while.
Oh yeah, you talk about hauls.
Yeah, Zach is the master of hauls. He just has all this extra stuff too, that he'll post up there occasionally. And I was kind of digging through, and those two items kind of caught my eye, so I grabbed those. And I also grabbed a manual for Xenosaga 1 for the PS2, because I have the disc in the case, but I didn't have the manual, and he just happened to randomly have an extra manual, so worked out perfectly. And those arrived today. I haven't had a chance to play them yet, to try them out. And then the last thing I have on pickups is I blame Dan for this, but I've been buying a bunch of Xbox games, original Xbox games, and I don't even have a way to play them. I don't have an original Xbox anymore, and I haven't for quite some time. So I finally broke down and bought a Xbox bundle from Mercari, and the listing said it was untested. They didn't know if it worked anymore. It had been packed away for quite a while. But it came with 3 controllers and 5 games, and the 3 controllers and the 5 games are worth more than what I paid for the whole bundle. So at that point, I didn't care if the Xbox worked or not. I knew I could probably fix it. So now I'm in the process of, I've got it broke down, found the problem, the PSU's burned up, so I've got a replacement on order, and then I'll probably strip all the stuff I can off this board and clean it up and try to see what I can do with this board. But just in case, I've got one on the way that I know works and can further troubleshoot from there if there's any other issues that I haven't come across yet. But yeah, that's what I've picked up. And I'll try to, I always say that I'll update in the repair channel, but sometimes I forget. Sometimes I have some things in there, but if I remember and take some pictures and things, I'll throw them in the repair channel on this Xbox repair. And as far as what I played, I picked up Cruis'n Blast last week, and I've played through all of the cups or the bundles of stages on the normal difficulty. So now I'm gonna go back and play through them all in the harder difficulty. It's an awesome game. Like, I've missed arcade racers so much, especially the Cruis'n series, playing them in arcade. It's definitely welcome to my collection anytime. And then I played some Rush 2049 off the Midway Treasures because I hadn't played that one in probably 20 years.
Been seeing a lot of love for Cruis'n Blast. Makes me think maybe I'm missing out on something there.
It's definitely one of those things that if you're not a Cruis'n fan, it's probably not going to be for you. Like, there's not a whole lot to it, but it just has that feeling whenever, if you've been playing Cruis'n for like the whole time, you'll feel right at home. But it does feel like it could have been on the N64 at times.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I also equate it to Excite Truck too. So if you ever played Excite Truck, a lot of fun like that too. So,
I mean, it's full arcade racer. Like, if you hit a wall, you just spin and it'll put you right back on course. Like, it's the full arcade experience. There's definitely no technical driving skills required to play this game. You just bruise your way through it and have fun.
Yep.
Well, for my part, I have 3 pickups this week. I am not the only one in our little community who got a shipment of Rodea the Sky Soldier for the Wii U and Wii in today or this week, it seems. Dan put a notice out, just a PSA for people that NIS had it for $10. So a lot of us jumped on that. I honestly just didn't even know this game existed back when I owned a Wii U. Now I don't have a Wii U, but at least it comes with the Wii version too, so I can play that.
Have you received yours yet?
Yeah, it just arrived today, actually.
Okay. Mine's in
I saw a couple
transit.
other people posting they got theirs. So I guess it just depends where you live.
I'm in Missouri, so it takes a while to get it in the middle of the country.
Another that I'd actually ordered a while ago that did come in last week, actually while I was out of town, is Dokapon Monster Hunter. At least that's the international title. The American title is actually just Dokapon. I'll keep calling it Dokapon Monster Hunter to distinguish it from every other game in the series.
Confuse people.
No relation to the
Yeah.
Monster Hunter franchise by Capcom, which is probably why they left that off, I guess. I'm not sure why only on the American release.
What year was that?
Good question.
It might have
don't know.
predated Monster
Game Boy
Hunter.
Advance
Well, that's what I'm saying.
time.
If it was early Game Boy Advance, it might have predated Monster Hunter.
2001, August 3rd.
Monster
2001.
Hunter started on
PSP, wasn't it? Or
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2?
I think.
Yep, so this is 2001.
Okay. Now you got me curious.
Well, while you're looking that up, I did get a chance to play this a little bit. It is not a board game like Dokapon Kingdom. It's more of a straightforward RPG. It does use Dokapon's rock, paper, scissors based combat. I actually think it's a little better than the way things work in Kingdom. But you have a basic attack and a basic defend, and then you have 3 special commands that are mapped to rock, paper, or scissors. And they'll do bonus effects when you win the rock, paper, scissors matchup. So you won't, if the enemy, say, does a basic attack and you use a rock defense, you won't get your special bonus. You would be better off using the basic defend. But basic attacks usually don't do a whole lot. Whereas like a special attack might boost all your stats. It might even not do damage, but it might give you a big attack boost for next turn or the rest of the fight. But in addition to that, you're also kind of moving through these dungeons. It feels very much like Mystery Dungeon. If you've played any of those games, when you're kind of navigating, you pick up random items. Your equipment dictates what skills you can learn, and your equipment actually levels up too. So it's kind of a nice, fun RPG. I got to the end of the first dungeon. The boss is actually a mole called Boss Mole.
Nice.
So that was fun. And I also realized after beating the first dungeon that the battery is dead and the game doesn't save. So I lost that progress. I kind of thought, since I was playing this on my Game Boy operator, I thought that I would be okay, even if the battery was dead. But if you were using the in-game save, it is writing to the game cart. So if your battery's dead, that's still not going to work on the Game Boy operator. Now, if you download the game and you play it on an emulator, you can use your save states. But if you're just putting the cartridge in and playing, and if you're actually using the in-game save feature, it's going to try to write. And if that battery's dead, it's not going to keep that save data. So just a warning for anybody who is using that for a bunch of games. It is, you have means to use games without even replacing the battery, but you just need to know what you're doing.
According to Wikipedia, Dokapon Monster Hunter predates Capcom's Monster Hunter by 3 years. So
there we go.
If they would have localized it as Dokapon Monster Hunter and it was successful, it might have caused fits for the actual Monster Hunter series. It might be called something different today. But
Well, you know how they like to troll. I mean, this is the series where the first game is called Dokapon 4, so...
well, that's what I'm saying. This game's very niche. It was never going to take off and rival Monster Hunter, but it'd be funny if it did, and Monster Hunter would be something totally different.
What if?
Yeah.
Yes. We're just
Or they
watchers.
just call it something barely different, like Hunter Monster or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the last game I picked up is a game called One Piece Mansion for the PlayStation 1. This is fairly cheap if you're looking for interesting games to get that don't cost much. It was like $10. This is actually a game I think I saw an article compare to Board Game Top Shop, which is why I wanted it. It's actually not a board game, though. It is a sort of a management puzzle game. So you manage an apartment complex, and you have to pay money to build new rooms and move rooms around, and people will be happy or unhappy based on who their neighbors are. And that's kind of the gist of it. But it's very quirky cast of characters. It's got like a chibi art style. It looked like fun. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I looked at the manual. So, yeah, looking forward to checking that one out. As for what I've been playing, in addition to Dokapon Monster Hunter, I've been playing more WarioWare, more Pokemon Unite, and I finally got back to Terranigma. So I was kind of playing too many games at once a few weeks back, so I kind of shelved Terranigma for a bit. I actually found it really easy to jump back in, which I was worried I would have no clue what I was doing. I just kind of left the town I was at and immediately found a new dungeon and fought some sea monsters, saved some mermaids, and now I have a boat. So now the world map is a lot more open to me. So I'm just sailing around, finding stuff. I probably, based on the existing clear data that my cartridge has on it from the guy I bought it from, probably am pretty close to the end of the game because his clear save is only like a couple hours longer playtime than mine. So
I noticed this says it's part of the Soul Blazer series.
yeah, people call it a series, but like they're not directly related in any way. But they're the games made by Quintet and published by Enix.
Gotcha.
All on the Super Famicom.
It's loosely a series of games.
Something connects it there.
Nice. Either that or that guy was speed running it on his save, and you're actually only like halfway there.
I mean, maybe. I also know the level he's at, which is 30, and I'm at level 22. So apparently the level cap is 50, but it's like ridiculous trying to get there. Like, because it goes exponentially. Like the end game enemies are not going to give you enough XP to ever come close to level 50, but yeah, Terranigma, it's great. It is just a crazy game. That is a game I would like to see a remake of, actually, because I do think it's a little rough around the edges in some spots, but I definitely know people love it, and I see why people love it. Well, that's enough of that. In case you haven't heard, RetroLogic is not just a podcast. It is also a game store, and you can visit retrologic.games, like Chris, to check out our inventory of clean, tested, and 100% authentic retro games, and merch, including shirts.
It's stickers and magnets and
stickers, magnets. The magnets are cool. I need to get a magnet. These magnets are really cool.
I can't wait to get my literally dinosaur shirt.
Yeah. We'll have to see where Dan's at on that.
Yeah, I think there were some issues with the supplier at one point, but I think they should be on the way. What do you guys think?
I've got my own RetroLogic branded 3DS. I've used some stickers on there. So
nice.
Definitely worth
representing.
Yeah, I got my sticker on my Trapper Keeper.
See? I love how you just
I love
have
the
a Trapper
stickers. I've
Keeper.
got them on the side of my desktop, actually.
And it's on a Trapper Keeper. This is my desktop Trapper Keeper.
Yeah, my kids seen those in stores and they're like, "What the heck is that?" I was like, "This is what you put everything in. It holds
It's a
all
Trapper
the
Keeper.
stuffs."
That's right.
All right, well, let's move on to some Prices Retro. All right, for those of you playing along at home, each of us is going to list off a lot of around 4 or 5 games, and the rest are going to guess the total value of the lot. Whoever guesses the closest, either over or under, to the actual price will win. Everyone has a list, and everyone guesses. So we like to start with the guess, so let's start with Chris.
I'm going to start and say that my goal for today is not to lose to Tim because we competed everything, but I think that's the best that's going to come out of today. So here goes nothing. So my list is actually the theme for this is the theme of the show, sports. So I don't think it's going to be hard to pick up. I'll just give it out right away. These games are all complete in box. The first one is Dusty Diamonds All-Star Softball for the NES. The second is Sports Talk Baseball for the Sega Genesis. The third, NBA Jam for the SNES. And the fourth, which is the spiritual successor to NHL 94, NHL PA Hockey 93 for the Sega Genesis.
So the spiritual successor for NHL 94 is actually branded a year before the...
Yep.
Okay.
So who wants to go first?
I'm thinking I had to write those down so I could see them and make a prediction here. I'm going to say $75. This
My
is
guess
US,
is
right?
$115.
This is US cost, right?
PriceCharting.com, Tim. Yeah, they're all, PriceCharting.com.
All right.
I'm going $100.
Not pricecharting.ca.
Nope, we don't have one of those.
I don't know if that exists.
No, it doesn't. All right, so the total value of my lot, $254.
Dang.
Man, Sam took that one.
Do I list all
I
the
always
values?
lowball the complete in box stuff.
Do I list all the values
Which
now?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you-
Tell us
Alright.
the breakdown.
So I'll go backwards because it'll a little more suspense. NHL PA Hockey 93 is $7. NBA Jam is $40. This one was a little disappointing because I love this game growing up. Sports Talk Baseball was $8. Dusty Diamonds All-Star Softball is $199.
Good night.
Ah, Dusty Diamonds.
I got Dusty
Is
Diamond.
this at all related to Rusty's Real Deal Baseball?
Nope, this is a classic on its own. My brother and I actually found this one through emulation after the fact, and we have some pretty gnarly games playing against each other. But I didn't play this one growing up. But when I found it on price charting and saw that, it's kind of blew my mind. This one's a valuable one if you can find it.
Nice.
I was not aware of that. I will mention, though, I was dead on. I actually knew that NBA Jam was $40.
I had put all these games at $20 and then added a little bit of fluff just in case I was wrong by a little bit.
For us,
Yeah, I padded it up because I knew complete in box something would be kind of high, at least.
for a sports fan, for a sports game fan, I'm kind of always disappointed that these games are always fairly cheap to get, I guess. I mean that should be good because I could go get them, but
Yeah.
I want.
Well, and a lot of the times the price is reflective of, how well it sold initially. If there's a lot of copies of it, it shouldn't be a rare game, so it shouldn't cost a whole lot,
Right.
unless the demand has increased over time after production ended. And I think that's part of the reason is because sports games sell really well. There's a lot of copies of them out there.
Yeah, and they're also annual.
Enough for everybody to buy one.
When they put one out every year, it just kills the cost of the previous ones.
Yeah.
That too. All right, Tim. What do you have for your list?
All right, this theme might be hard to figure out. I doubt it, but it might be. These are all complete inbox. Michael Jackson, The Experience, Nintendo DS. Michael Jackson, the 3D Experience for the 3DS. Michael Jackson, The Experience for the PlayStation Vita. And Michael Jackson, The Experience for the PSP.
Gosh. Getting flight seat here.
Did you catch the theme?
Is it Michael Jackson?
It's Elite Beat
On
Age
all
of Max.
handheld systems. Michael Jackson on all the handheld systems.
Kind of
Is it
surprised you
wearing
didn't throw Moonwalker in there.
Is it wearing a glove covered in rhinestones?
Nope, just complete inbox.
I'm going to go $50.
I was going to use
$60.
the Sam Wagers method of going $300 for everything and seeing where that got me, but I think that's a little high, so I'm going to go halvesies and say $150.
Chris.
What's your guess? What'd you say, Sam?
60.
60? Your classic price is right in me.
Pretty much.
All right.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
The stunning cost for the closed inbox for all 4 games is $58.34.
Dang you, Sam.
Man. I'm on a roll.
That'd be
I'm going to choke on the next round then, if that's the case, though.
It'd be $6.20 for the Nintendo DS version, $5.97 for the 3DS version, $40.17 for the Vita version, and $6 for the PSP version.
And I was almost spot on with all those.
I pretty much was just like, they'll probably average out to about 15 each.
All right. Sam, who's going next? You want to go or you want me to go?
Do you want me to go?
Sure, I can go last. Why not?
All right. I'll let you bring up you'll be the finale. All right. My list has nothing to do with sports. So it's actually a similar theme to one that I've used before, but with different games. These are all educational games.
Oh, gosh.
I like this theme. So first on the list is Donkey Kong Jr. Math for the NES, loose. Then we have Math Blaster in the Prime Adventure for the DS, complete. Fisher Price Firehouse Rescue for the NES, complete. And Tales and the Music Maker for the Sega Pico, loose. I didn't know the Sega Pico existed until recently. But it is a system that price charting lists.
Shot in the dark, Sam Wagers method. I'm going $300.
I'm thinking more along the lines of like, gosh, I'm going to shoot super high and these aren't going to be as valuable as last time. I'm doing it $600.
20.
$20.
20? Okay.
No, 220.
Oh, 200.
220.
220.
I just heard 20.
I did too. I was
I was like, oh, I'll give you
220.
$20 for all that.
he likes to live life dangerously.
All All right, so the total is $321.95.
I shot too high.
300 guess was pretty much dead on.
Nice.
The Donkey Kong Jr. math is $167.50 loose. That's the most expensive one. If I wanted to be mean, the complete in box one's over $1,000.
Yeah.
Fisher Price Firehouse Rescue Complete is $111.99. Math Blaster and the Prime Adventure Complete for the DS is $7.97. And Tales and the Music Maker is $34.49.
Man, I figured that Pico game would be more expensive than that.
Nope. I don't think most of them aren't crazy expensive.
There's got to be one on there that everybody liked.
I'm sure there's one. I didn't actually look at all Pico games. I just looked for... okay. The Berenstain Bears Complete to 1998.
Yeah, there you go. There's always that one.
Yeah. I mean, but like a system with a library that small, you got to think somebody who owns it probably has almost a complete collection. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have a complete collection for the Virtual Boy yet, and it's pretty small.
That's true.
I'm getting close, but
you didn't buy it. You did? Did you buy a Virtual Boy when it came out?
No. I bought mine later.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a Leapfrog collection. Does that count?
Yeah. That's the Sega Pico is a lot. I mean, it's almost more a interactive storybook than.
Yeah, I think that's more of what it was.
It's targeted ages
for,
3 to
yeah.
7. Yeah.
I think I sold Elite TV just before the pandemic started because my kids had totally grown out of it, and someone scooped it up for something pretty cheap. I just didn't really want to have it in the house anymore.
I don't blame you.
Yep.
All right, you ready for the
final list?
final list?
Ready?
My theme is pretty easy this week. Resident Evil Code Veronica X for the GameCube Complete. Resident Evil Deadly Silence for the DS Complete. Resident Evil Gaiden for the Game Boy Complete. And Resident Evil Survivor for the PS1 Complete.
I'm just gonna say 400.
All right.
I didn't have it that high. I'm going to say 200.
All righty.
$1. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing $1. Sorry. 333.
All right. The total of my list is $850.
Jeez.
Figured I was low. I didn't know the specifics of these.
So
RPGs and survival horror, those go for high prices. It's the opposite of sports games.
in one round, I went from last place to first place.
There it is.
I did the Sam
Did I get last place?
I said, do we set the worst scores?
No, you guys didn't set the worst. I'll leave that to Flightsy because every time I ever say anything, I get it wrong. So, well, let me list my games first. Resident Evil Code Veronica X for the GameCube completes $134. Resident Evil Deadly Silence for the DS complete is $91. Resident Evil Gaiden for the Game Boy complete is $560.
I figured that was the one.
Game Boy games are notorious for complete in box, like skyrocketing prices. Resident Evil Survivor for the PS1 complete, $65. And really, I just wanted to do a list of random side games for Resident Evil. These weren't part of the main series. These are all just spin-off stuff. Code Veronica X is kind of main.
You really got to do your homework on this if you want to get some predictions correct.
Yeah.
I didn't do my homework.
But It's almost unfair sometimes because Dan and I are constantly like scouring price charting whenever we're looking for stuff to buy or just different things like that. But that's kind of how this came about, was the fact that we were both constantly on there and we would shoot, bounce stuff off each other, what we thought values were, and we kind of played around with it before it became a game in that way. And then it just kind of formed into this. But yeah, so in my sheet, Tim is Dan this week. He's at 797. I came up at 441. Same as at 591. And Chris is the guest at $763 off. So
You gotta be the best.
So yeah, Chris just barely edged you out, Tim. He
Yes,
he got
last
you by
place. Woo.
$34.
Well, my win streak was fun while it lasted. I
Yeah,
couldn't pull off the hat trick.
almost. I don't think. No, I did have I think I had a 4-game streak as my longest. And I do believe those were all ones that Dan was participating, but I don't remember. Flightsy will let me know later.
Well, congratulations, John. Well played.
Thank you.
We will go on to talk about some gaming history. So we're moving into the fall months, which means there's usually a lot of significant game releases. I highlighted just a few. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 came out 21 years ago today, September 20th, 2001.
Wow.
Do you have a comment on Pro Skater 2?
Those were definitely always fun for me to play, especially between that and the BMX games. They were always fun.
Yeah,
Just to
Matt
get a
Hoffman's.
couple people together, yeah, and just have a good time. And then even the ragdoll mechanics sometimes, just flopping around after you bailed or if you crashed. It's just hilarious.
So yeah, Tony
Yeah,
Hawk
I'll be.
1, 2, and 3 are like blended for me. Like I probably couldn't tell the difference between the three if someone asked me now.
Yeah.
But the first
I
game
was about
is
to
the
say
one
the same thing.
yeah, the first game I know for sure, like I spent the most time with, like maxed out all the point attacks and everything, all the high scores. And then by the time the second game came around, it was more multiplayer focused for me to play with horse and things like that.
Of course, the soundtrack, of course.
Yeah,
you
the
got your favorite
soundtracks are
songs that
where
were
it's
on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
The guys over at Retro Groove did a whole episode about the Tony Hawk soundtrack, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, it's
That
fantastic.
was a good episode.
So we also have X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse. Came out this day 16 years ago. John, was it somebody picked this up recently? Was it you, John?
I did. I got. I think I forgot to throw it on my list, but I bought a $2 copy of this game.
$2. Nice. It's not an expensive game, but that's still a great deal.
It's going to cost me at least another $3 because I'm going to have to get the disc cleaned up. It won't play.
Oh,
So that might have been why it was so cheap. It was kind of on the borderline. I've seen some games in that condition work. And so, no, yeah, I'm going to get this one cleaned up. But no, it's a fantastic game. I actually already have it. I'll probably, if I get this one working, I plan on doing it as a giveaway at some point.
nice. Yeah, I remember both those games quite fondly. This is what kind of grew into the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series, but I'll be honest, I still prefer Legends and Legends 2
Yeah, I do
to
too.
the Ultimate Alliance games.
Yeah, they just, to
Part
me,
of
they play
that
better.
is yeah, and they were a little bit more of like a light RPG, whereas I think Ultimate Alliance wanted to completely streamline that, so you didn't even like think about what do I want to level up next. It was just kind of
It became more of like a beat 'em up
Keep going.
with stats that you could get up over time and just skill management. But as far as like the first two games that were on GameCube had a lot more ability to change things on the go. I
Yeah.
enjoyed those ones a lot more.
Yeah, you definitely thought about like who you wanted on your team and how you wanted to level them up and which powers were most important to max out first and all that. And Legends 2 is where they actually started bringing in some of the other, you could play as the Brotherhood characters.
Yep.
But I believe you could also unlock like Iron Man and War Machine and a couple other Marvel heroes in that game by the end.
Both solid.
It's good times. So we are also just passed us by this last week, 21 years and 6 days ago, was the GameCube's Japanese release date. And we'll be talking about that more in our community corner because we have some comments from the Discord that I would like to share. So with that, we'll move on to the old news. Just one item, something called Project Deluge. This is a vast deluge, I suppose, because that's why they named it that, of Xbox and Dreamcast prototypes, development builds, and tech demos that you can find out at hiddenpalace.org. So there's a lot of stuff there. They have a whole list of all the games, more details about them coming out. Just cool if you're really curious about that stuff. Thought it was worth mentioning. I don't have too much more to say about the specifics because it was just a lot to take in at once.
Yeah, I kind of browsed it over. They're doing a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, the list of games is massive. You pretty much think about a Dreamcast game or an Xbox game, and it's probably on there. They've got some early build of it.
Yep.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater's on there.
Yeah, it is. I think they got all the Crazy Taxi games on there too.
Man, I did not realize how close Tony Hawk 2 came out to September 11th. It was just 9 days afterwards.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I mean, it was probably already gold before, so.
Yeah. It's weird to think about things that came out at that time period.
Right.
Right.
So if nobody has any other comments about that, we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we will talk about our game highlight, NHL 94, and sports games in general. All right, so we have, of course, with us Chris and Tim. And, of course, you may know Chris as Chris HL94, the man who bears NHL 94 in his online name. So I have to ask you, what is so special about this hockey game in particular above all other hockey games?
So I'm not just going to tell you that this is the best hockey game ever made. This is the best sports game ever made. For me personally, I have a lot of nostalgia for that era, not only for the game but for hockey. At the time, I'm not a big hockey fan as I used to be, but I know in the early '90s, I was a diehard Leaf fan. We were watching the team go to the Stanley Cup, almost to the Stanley Cup Finals, a couple of times. So I was playing this game a lot. I was the Maple Leafs every time. We'd fight over them with friends who got to be the Leafs. But the game itself is the best because it most accurately, I think, reflects what an NHL hockey game is like and isn't overly complicated and is easy to play. It's the first game that's licensed by the NHL and the Players Association. So you have, for the first time, I think, all your accurate team names, jerseys, player rosters, and everything like that. And it I think introduced some of the best known features to the hockey games that hadn't been in this series or any series before. So the one timer is new in this game. It's got the famous, I guess it's the vertical screen style of the NHL EA series they've been using ever since, and it's just really fun to play. It's when you get to talking about what's your preference, a simulation or arcade, it kind of does a little bit of both. That it's a little bit, over the top with body checks, injuries, and that sort of thing. But then it's still really, at its core, it's hockey. And, for us north of the border, we're crazy about our hockey. I don't know if I want to elaborate more on that before I give Tim a chance to pipe in, because I know he's the big fan of this one as well.
No, it's all the more details because you play it currently still to this day. I haven't played it since back in the 90s. So until you came along and said, hey, you can actually go online and play it, with the people on there with the ROMs. So which was really exciting to see. But yeah, my memory is basically, like you said, it's an easy game for people to pick up for those of us who were gamers at that time, and those of my friends who weren't, that only played when we got together and stuff like that. We could get together and have a good time and play. And when it came to NHL 94, it didn't matter whether you owned the game or not, or you could practice all the time. If you played it enough, you could put up a good competition against those who might even own it. Maybe. Maybe. Some people like Chris, probably do one-timers like crazy, but... So, yeah, it's definitely one of those games that we had a lot of fun back then, and it's why so many of us are clamoring for it to come out now as a re-release with online capabilities, because it would be a really fun, easy pick-up game,
As much as I'm playing it now, like I could go downstairs. I've got an NES. I've got the original hardware. It isn't as fun, I'll admit, without a peer-to-peer game. Like if you're playing against another player, then it's a lot of fun because it's the essence of sports games. You're trash talking. You're playing against a computer. It's not the same. I don't really care I know Tim might care a little bit if I beat the Red Wings 8-0. But it's a computer. It's not the same. It's definitely a game you want to play to multiplayer. I know that the NES or SNES, I should say, supported up to 4 players if you had the adapter, so you could play 2-on-2. And like Tim said, there's a huge community that's playing this game online. They've got hacked ROMs with current rosters, or you draft rosters, and they're playing online tournaments and leagues. I played in some myself. I've been humbled because, like, if Tim thinks I'm a good NHL 94 player, I've been humbled by a few people in the league. I missed the playoffs by a lot in the one league I played last year, but people are always coaching you up, and they're trying to get you to change your strategy, help you with your playing style to get you to be more competitive in the league. I found that there was an unending number of people who were to help me with setting up the ROM on my PC, helping me with modem settings, because you have to set up port forwarding on it's a peer-to-peer system that they all works on. So I know people complain about online Switch games. It's the same thing. So you'll find a lot of players, some of them are a little bit snooty about, if your internet's not very great, they won't play with you because the lag can be pretty rough. So in that way, it's not very inviting to new players, but there are tons of people on these Discord chats and these message boards who will voice chat with you and walk you through setting it up even. And so it's really, really good way to get into it that way. I think even in the last year, a couple of these online tournaments were sponsored by the Muriel Lemieux Foundation. So people paid an entry fee toward cancer research, and they've raised thousands of dollars this way. And so this is why I don't understand. EA has to know this is happening. They're not hiding this, that people are using the ROMs, playing online. There's a demand for this game. And I know that, so the modern version, which has been out for a little while, I think a little over a year, is NHL 94 Rewind. And I know people who know me on Twitter and on Discord know how much I've been railing on this not being on Switch. But that is a modern version of the game. So it's the gameplay is the 1994 version, but with modern rosters. And it's available on Xbox and PlayStation. But I don't think it has online play. And I know even the people who own those consoles are frustrated with that part. But
it has some quirky thing with online. Like you can do it, but I forget the caveat. But yeah, it isn't like straightforward online.
Yeah, you would think they'd really, as much as people were looking forward to it, you'd think they'd really like blow it out and, even do like an online with like a leaderboard or a ranking, or add in the ability to actually like play through a season. It does seem like a bit of a missed opportunity, to say nothing of not coming to Switch.
I mean, and I understand this. So there might be a limited market for this. People who are my age are going to want to play NHL 94. My son doesn't. And so even if he was into sports games, he would probably want NHL 22, the newest version I think was just released in the last month. As good as it is, that's great. But again, those games are closer to simulation. And for me, the simplicity of NHL 94 is just like there's only so many buttons I have to learn, and I don't have to do triple deeks and all these other things that weren't in that game, and I don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that the market is limited. It's 30 to 40-year-olds like me who have nostalgia for the game, but there are a lot of us, I think.
Yeah.
And to say, I mean, I picked up the game recently, and I did enjoy it. I did not have this game growing up. I had NHL Stanley Cup for the Super Nintendo instead, which is a passable hockey game, I would say. I don't remember it particularly fondly. I didn't really gravitate towards sports games, but we had them and we played them when we wanted a break from Super Mario or Donkey Kong or whatever. And, it was good fun. But picking this up, I think what struck me was just how good the controls felt. The general, feel of the movement on the ice. It feels like ice, but it's not like so slippery that I feel like I can't do what I want to do.
Right.
Easy to pick up, but satisfying to actually feel like you're getting the hang of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the vertical style up and down when you're skating up and down the ice just lends better to the gameplay, because I know, like I've heard other people talk about different game, Wayne Gretzky hockey or something that does the horizontal. It doesn't have the same appeal, and the view doesn't work as well.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey.
Yeah,
on the N64. It's a pretty good hockey game. I like the hockey game that I played the most as a kid was probably Blades of Steel on the NES. I played that game. Like, my cousin and I would wear that game out.
Yeah, between that and Double Dribble, those were the sports games to play at my friend's house, because he had an NES and he had both of those, and we'd play those to death too. So,
yeah. As far as
we
like
had a bit of a revival. We had a bit of a revival of NES ice hockey.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo Dad's this where we played a tournament, or a league actually. So we had a Robin League, and I got a little bit too cocky. I finished second in the regular season, and then upset loss in the semifinals. But it was fun. It was just, and it's funny because even I don't like to lag on the Nintendo Switch for their online you're playing an NES game, an 8-bit NES game from 1985, and if I'm playing in handheld on Wi-Fi, I can get some lag, and you're thinking that just shouldn't happen.
At that point, it has zero to do with how graphically advanced the game is, and all about how poor it is to do peer-to-peer if you both have bad internet connection.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's the Switch's actual wireless receiver.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just not built for it.
Yeah, you can be, I can be probably 5 or 10 feet away from my wireless router, and it still is bad.
Yeah, I have quite considerably fast internet, and the Switch is just a bottleneck for it.
Yep.
So I think we kind of teased this earlier in the discussion, but I know when I'm playing a sports game, I'm more interested in the game like a hockey game. I didn't play hockey, but I played baseball. So sports that I played, the physical sport, I was more interested in playing those games. Would you say that was the same for you guys?
I would not, honestly, but because I will say the sport I played the most as a kid was baseball. The only other sport I played was lacrosse later, and I don't even know of any lacrosse video games. If you know of any, then I might check one out. But I think part of it is that baseball is a bit harder to do successfully, especially to get a pickup and play, because a baseball game is really a bunch of other games strung together, because you usually have completely different controls for pitching, for hitting, for fielding, and that all you have to kind of learn all that. I think baseball games can still be fun. I would say, especially when you talk about those simulation games, I think a lot of the appeal of those is not necessarily to people who play the sport, but to people who follow the sport as spectators. Because then, you can live through that fantasy of like, oh, I'm taking my team to the Super Bowl. I'm taking my team, all the way through, the whole season, and if they didn't trade this player, and I'm going to keep them, and I'm going to show how good they would have been if they did that. I think that has a bit more to do, and I think that's really where the simulation side of it kind of doubles down. Is you have, I don't play a lot of the more modern sports games, but from my limited experience with them, you have, even to the point where it represents, the commentary you would have in a live game as well is in your simulated game. It feels very much like you're watching an actual live sports event if you're watching somebody play one of these games.
Yeah. Now for me, it was both, a little bit of both, being able to play it. When I was a kid, I played it a lot, just outside with friends, or get-togethers and stuff like that. I didn't play it semi-professional or whatever you want to call it for the school level. I wanted to, but I never did. But anytime I did play it with friends, and anytime we got together on the weekends to play, it was a lot of fun. I always enjoyed it. And so it was like between having that experience, and then because my favorite team is Detroit Lions and they could never get to the doggone Super Bowl, I was going to make them get to the Super Bowl by picking them and making them go to the Super Bowl, or making the better team, because, so so that's a little bit of that, couch coach, type thing. So, or couch quarterback, whatever you want to call it. But that's why I enjoyed playing them back in the day, especially with friends. Again, those type of sports games, or Madden, I liked playing with just on my own and practicing, so I could play against some friends of mine and stuff like that. So, but as the years went on, they did get more of a simulation side of things than the arcadey side of things, because I felt like when we played them in the 90s, more so, it was more arcadey. Maybe because they had to be arcadey. It was a little bit harder to be simulation, but as they got better with graphics and things, it became more simulation.
Yeah.
with the players, and you have choices to be able to, to play the game or do more of the management side now too. So you have those as well.
I think they were arcade based just because of what it was limitations. I think they wanted to be more, lifelike and simulation whenever they put them out, but just that's what we got.
I think we're seeing something of a return to that, at least an acknowledgement that they can exist side by side, but they are very different audiences. And I think developers are kind of aware of that. It's instead of the idea of let's recreate the sport, it's, what's fun about this sport and how can we, make a fun video game out of that?
Yeah, as you get more into as sports games evolved from the 90s into the 2000s, you got, I may have enjoyed playing baseball, but then I never was going to play Major League Baseball. So that did scratch that fantasy itch. And the developers tried to add that extra element where you could create your own player. So I could put myself in MLB The Show. And early on, there wasn't the sort of, or I guess it depended on the game. If you wanted to start out as the rookie player and you had to develop your abilities through the game, through experience, you could start off with low skill levels or low ratings and build your character up. Or if some of them got lazy, they just allowed you to be like the Bo Jackson, Ken Griffey Jr. superstar right away, and you were hitting 500-foot home runs and stealing 50 bases, and you were the best player ever without really any effort. And the same thing with hockey. Like I don't remember which NHL game it was. It was probably a 99 or a 01 where I was the center for the Maple Leafs, and I had 800 goals and something in a season because I could put my level at 99 rating everything and skate circles around everybody and score at will, basically.
That's the best.
But it teaches your kids a really great lesson of working hard and doing it from in practice and all that stuff.
Yep. Well, I didn't care because I used the cheat code in SimCity to get all the money I could, and it didn't teach me anything, but it was fun.
True.
Didn't teach me any money management skills. I did the same thing with Madden. I would make myself the QB, and then sometimes even a running back. Or I'd have a group of my friends as players, and we'd all have our different positions. So,
I definitely think even as sports kind of leaned more to simulation as annual appearances, I still stuck more to arcade style stuff like NFL Blitz for football, and I had NHL Hits on the GameCube for hockey, and then not, even more often than not playing a Mario sports game over simulation type sports games, Mario Tennis or golf or basket. Everything.
I still wish to this day they would do an American football, Nintendo, Mario American football. That would be kind of fun.
Where's our
hockey?
Wasn't there a hockey game in Sports Mix?
There was.
Probably in Mix, yeah.
Sports Mix doesn't count, though.
It was a volleyball, volleyball, hockey, and basketball.
But they were all lesser versions of. They weren't a full game.
Right.
They were not fully realized.
No. It's same as the one on 3DS. What was it called? It had horseback riding, and it had all kinds of stuff on it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I still think it's weird for Yoshi to ride a horse. I'm sorry. Something about that's wrong.
Should the horse ride Yoshi? Let's go.
Maybe.
I like the gimmicky sports games. I think shout out to Marty. I love the Mutant League football and hockey. And even though I'm a big hockey fan, I love the sport of hockey. I would play mutant hockey just to beat up and kill all the players on the other team and beat them to submission. That's how I won the game. I didn't score any goals. It wasn't that easy to score. So I thought it'd be easier just I'll smash the other players until they don't have anybody left on the bench.
Oh, I used to love doing the just slamming people up against the walls. That was so much fun.
Or you had weapons like mace and a chainsaw or something, and you would just cut up, and you could cut up about 5 players in about 2 minutes, and then no one else on the line. They do line change, you do cut them up. The rest of them, you'd start a few fights, and yeah, you could probably get them to submit by the end of the first period.
That's funny.
I think that's my favorite part about hockey games is just seeing how they depict a fight. So like in Blades of Steel, you know, you had the classic, like it would pan off to the side shot, and it would, like, you would punch using the buttons. And then like I said, the last game I probably played that was hockey, that was real hockey, would have been probably NHL Hits on the GameCube. And it, you know, it does something very similar. Like you go into a side, like a fighting game style pose of the hockey players, and they just duke it out.
I am honestly surprised, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there is a game that does this. It must not be like super popular. I'm surprised somebody didn't make a hockey game so over the top that it literally just becomes Street Fighter when you get into a fight. Like people throwing fireballs,
Hadoukens,
all that.
Yeah. Well, so are any of you fans of the movie Swingers?
I don't
So
know.
there's
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a scene in the movie Swingers where they're playing at NHL. I think it's NHL 93, but they say it was NHL 94. And they're on the couch playing, and he says, I'm going to hit Wayne Gretzky, and I'm going to pop his head off. And in the game, if you body check the player at the right angle, he would fall over, and there would be blood gushing out of his head onto the ice. And so there's a couple of documentaries that documented this, that the league and the Players Association didn't like how violent the sport was being depicted, that they had to tone down this blood in NHL 94. And that's why everyone points to that Swinger scene where he popped Wayne Gretzky's head off.
They did actually, when they ported that NHL 94 to Sega CD, they took out they toned down the fighting.
Yeah, that's why if we see something like, it's going to be like a very, you know, off the wall that doesn't use the actual players or teams like
Right.
league football, but hockey.
Chris, didn't you review something on the Switch that was pretty violent hockey?
Yes, so it's Super Blood Hockey.
Super Blood
Yes.
Hockey.
Super Blood Hockey.
Must be
yes.
what I was thinking of.
Yes, and so it's a country to country game, but I think every team. So if you're playing a tournament or league, they recruit criminals. So essentially, you're just buying criminals to play.
So it's the longest yard, but hockey.
Yeah.
But hockey, and everyone is disposable. So you basically trying to keep. I played a league. I played one season of a league. I killed 2 players, and I just had to buy 2 extra players to replace them. But it's just super violent, and you just into these full-on brawls.
Perfect for the kids.
Right. It's kind of a combination of ice hockey and Blades of Steel. I think the gameplay is a little bit of that. I think there's not really a one-timer system, but yeah, if you can beat up the teams, your players are injured and sometimes fatally, and then you just buy another prisoner to replace them. But where they try to go Mutant League hockey style is that there's a blood level, so you can have excessive blood, extreme blood, too much blood, and then so forth. So they can just be red all over the ice.
I like how the lowest one is excessive.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a little bit. There's just blood.
Excessive. And then it goes higher from there.
From there. And it's a fun game if you like old hockey, but I think I put in my review that it's kind of trying to be a hockey game and a bloody beat 'em up, where I would have liked them to go full bloody beat 'em up or full hockey.
The two didn't blend as well as they thought.
They tried to be too many things for too many people, I would say.
And by the way, that 3DS one is Mario Sports Superstars.
There we go.
You know.
All right. So did we answer that last question you have on there? What sports games we would like to have back on modern consoles? I know Chris has already answered that.
Yeah, for me, my side of it is Madden. So where Chris is, the NHL guy, I like the Madden stuff. And I've been dying for it to come back to a Nintendo system because that's the system I play the most. Yes, I have a PlayStation 4 and probably will get the next, console, whatever that may be, and could play a Madden on there. But I just want a Madden on the go, not my phone. I want to, kind of like more of a classic, like the whole rewind thing. So if you've heard me on the Nintendo Dads, I've always clamored for EA to, quit being lazy and use your franchises and play to the audience on the Nintendo Switch. So, but that's what I would like to be brought back to the modern consoles for Nintendo. So I know they're at the modern consoles for everybody else, just not Nintendo.
Right. And I'm fully with Tim on the Madden. I'm a big football fan. I find a way to lose a Madden game every time. So Tim's going to love if we ever can play Madden online because he will beat me every time. But
I'm rusty, so
right. And I'm a big baseball fan. I think the sport of baseball lends so much to the mono one-on-one. I'm trying to strike you out. I'm trying to hit a home run. It's really hard for me to not like a baseball game.
Yeah.
You have a favorite retro baseball game?
Oh, I would go back to the NES. I love Bad News Baseball, RBI Baseball. I'm a big fan of the Dusty Diamonds. Bases Loaded. Those were pretty good, all four of them. I think there were four. One might have been on the SNES, but 1, 2, and 3 were on NES.
I have a MLB game, a licensed MLB game for the NES that just has like the logo. I don't even know which game it is.
I think the earliest one I played was King Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball.
That's a good one too.
Super Nintendo. Yep.
I did get into the baseball games on the earlier systems, not even Super Nintendo. It wasn't until the first PlayStation when I picked up Triple Play. That's when I started playing them.
Okay.
And I enjoyed them very, very much then. So
the sports talk baseball that I had in my Price's Retro list, I think was like the first go on Sega Genesis that any baseball game I tried to implement like a real-time commentator to the game. And let's be honest, it didn't do really well. But it almost makes it fun to listen to how they try to hit the ball. And
somebody had to do it.
So bad it was good. Yeah.
Somebody had to be the first.
It's like NBA Jam whenever the announcers are actually really good for the little bit that they give you.
But you just loved hearing, he's on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Or no good.
And that was usually the loudest game in the arcade too. Back in the day was NBA Jam because you could hear that guy shouting out when it was new. Obviously, there'd be a point where they turn it down. But yeah, when it was new, I just remember hearing that all day in the arcade.
That might be the best example of the arcade sports game, just because it's so wacky and over the top. But it's basketball. You do these 360 world windmill jams and everything like that. Everyone wants to be the guy who just dunks over top of you after doing 4 triple spins in the air.
It was awesome in the arcade because you could have 4 players. So
yeah,
it was like the ultimate arcade sports game.
Yeah, we had a NBA. That was the Wii? They kind of brought back NBA Jam for that.
They did,
right?
yeah, for that.
It was that generation because it was on PS3 and Xbox as well.
Yeah,
Xbox
it was. Yeah, I remember it being on the Wii. I'm a little bummed out they didn't do the same for Blitz and Hits. Following that up,
I think it's different.
I have a feeling it has something to do with sports games or sports leagues now are very concerned with concussions and those type of injuries because they're seeing the long-term effects of having on athletes and kids who are getting into the sport. So I'm thinking that's the only thing they really don't want it. NFL Blitz, where you literally, take someone's head off, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
Blitz
the best part.
Blitz isn't that bad compared to like other things. It's just
That's
more
why we need a
loosely
video
played.
game where we can do it, where we
Where
don't
you
get injured.
You
That's
get
right.
you get your aggressions out. Yeah.
That's right. I agree. Bring it back.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, any last words on sports games on NHL 94? I'm all for that coming back too, even though I have a copy now on Genesis, just because I would like an updated team list so that I can play as my own Columbus Blue Jackets, who did not exist in 1994.
And online capabilities as well.
In online, right? Yeah. So yes, everybody just tell EA how much they're missing this opportunity.
Yes.
However you can.
All right. Well, I mentioned we are coming up on 20 years of Nintendo GameCube. We actually already passed it in Japan. The American release was November 20 years ago. And I put a question out to our Discord members about their favorite memories of the GameCube. So I just want to read as many of those as I can real quick. Eric Plunk says, my favorite thing about the GameCube is that it expanded upon the Nintendo tradition of innovative add-ons and peripherals. Microphones, bongos, link cables, and GBA players. Oh my. Our friend,
I agree with that, definitely.
Our friend Frosticles says it's the nostalgia. Fell at the perfect time in life in his early teens, spending hours with his best mate trying to unlock Mewtwo and Smash, and going to the closest city to buy hundreds of games for dirt cheap. I don't know if he means literally hundreds of games, but that's impressive.
Yeah. He's got a pretty good size GameCube collection. He's shown off before.
Hambone Johnny says it is the only console with a handle and that the controller feels so good in your hands. Some of my favorite Nintendo shoulder buttons. Simple Monk says the Wavebird controller. Never wanted a wired controller again. I will admit, I never got the appreciation for the Wavebird. I used one once. I don't know what was wrong with it, but there was considerable latency. I don't know if people just have rose-colored glasses when they go back and look at the Wavebird, or if the one that I personally used was just in really bad condition.
Yes, he still uses one.
I still use one, and it's not terrible. I'm not going to play Smash with it, but there's several games on the GameCube that you can play with pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I never had a problem with wired controllers too much either. I definitely see the appeal of wireless, but I don't know. The Wavebird was not a revolution for me personally.
They certainly got a lot better now, didn't they? Thank goodness.
So our pal Flightsy says his favorite thing is just the games. There were a lot of pretty cool ones on that thing. Only ever owned 4, Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Mario Party 6, and Pac-Man Versus, but I've had fun with all of them. Owning a matching color GameCube and Game Boy player is probably a close second, though. It just looks so aesthetically pleasing. Gosh, I would not want to be trying to find a matching color Game Boy player for a GameCube right now, though, because the Game Boy player has been...
He also has a matching Game Boy Advance, like the original Game Boy Advance.
Oh, wow.
It's silver also, yeah.
Yeah, I had the Platinum GameCube, because I got it late. That was like the new color that came later.
Yeah, and the only way to get his is Platinum, I believe, as well, and you could only get a platinum Game Boy player in Japan. So, like me, he probably imported to get it.
$2 Hero says, our friend Seth, he's been on the show before, says the GameCube was part of my favorite era for Nintendo. They released this little purple lunchbox that didn't look like the competition. A controller that looked like it was built out of Legos by aliens, but is maybe the most ergonomically designed controller ever made. They weren't afraid to make bold strokes with their first and third-party software offerings. That console just represents my favorite version of Nintendo.
Well said.
Yep.
Okay, we got two more. I did skip over comments from Tim and Chris. You'll get to say your piece soon. Spider Shan says, I actually got my GameCube as a wedding gift. Since I was in college and didn't have the money for one, but registered for it on a whim, my buddy picked it up for us.
Nice.
The controller is one of my favorites, and even my wife felt comfortable using it to play Mario Golf. So many incredible games that hold up so well today. Wind Waker, Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Golf, Tales of Symphonia, and X-Men Legends were my favorites, and I'm still discovering more gems through this group. Such a great gaming era, even if it was considered a failure by some. I think he's referring to the sales of the GameCube compared to PS2. Nintendo Man 89, one of the newer guys in our Discord, says, my favorite thing about the GameCube was the Game Boy player. So great to see Game Boy games on the big screen, and of course the games, as stated before, Animal Crossing, Wind Waker, Smash, and Luigi's Mansion, along with so many others. GameCube and Nintendo Power at the time might be my favorite era of Nintendo. So much fun. I think it's interesting. He brings up Nintendo Power, and this is actually a reason why I kind of missed out on a lot of the early GameCube stuff, because the GameCube came out after we stopped getting Nintendo Power. And this was before I really was on the internet much, so I just kind of didn't know what was coming out. So this is why I kind of missed the boat on stuff like Luigi's Mansion and Pikmin. And my brothers kind of lost some interest in Nintendo, so it was really just me who cared about it anymore. But certainly going back, I see a lot of appreciation for it. And some of the games I did have, even if my GameCube library was a bit smaller than, say, the N64 before it or the Super Nintendo before that, it was, some of my favorite games, for sure, of all time. Super Smash Bros. Melee, Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, great stuff. So we saw a lot of love for the controller. Chris, you said that you didn't actually have a GameCube, but you love the GameCube controller. Oh,
you're muted, sir.
He's still on mute.
I owe $2. I think the GameCube came out when I was in college, and I didn't have a lot of disposable income at the time, so I was still playing some SNES and N64 games if we had time at the dorm. And I've come to some GameCube games later, but I didn't have any experience playing the games. I don't remember where I picked it up, but I do emulate some games, and I use the GameCube controller because it's just so versatile that it plays with so many different retro consoles, and you can use some of the extra buttons for rapid fire. It really works really well. My son actually even loves using that for playing Smash Brothers on the Switch. Like, if you use the right adapter, you can play it as a USB controller for Switch, and it does great for games like Smash and Mario Tennis Aces. So yeah, like I've heard a lot of love for the controller. It does feel really great, and it's just really good in your hand.
I think thanks to Smash Bros, the GameCube controller will always be with us.
Yep.
Which is kind of a win-win, because I mean those controllers they re-release with the Smash Ball on them still work. As you can plug them into your GameCube, you can plug them into your Wii if you have the early model.
Yep.
And that's pretty. It does make me wonder, like, do they never think like maybe we should just go back to this design? I would love to see a return to that face button layout. Actually, I think that was really smart. Analog triggers would be nice to have too, since especially when it just comes to games being ported, because the other consoles have analog triggers.
Since they've been missing since.
I've seen someone on YouTube take a GameCube controller, take the guts of a Switch Joy-Con, and put them together. And they made a GameCube Joy-Con.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those. Yeah.
Yeah, but can the Switch handle a input like that? Like, does it still read it that way?
I don't believe so.
There's a lot of modding to do it. I don't think so. But
yeah, I wouldn't think. I mean, it'd be
you'd have to mod the game at that point.
Yeah, because the games don't recognize that input.
Yep. Well, for me, the GameCube was not only that. It was with that and the Game Boy SP. Those two combined are the reason why I got back into Nintendo, because between the Super Nintendo and the GameCube, it was the Nintendo 64, which I never got into, because I opted to go with the PlayStation 1 at the time. Plus I had limited income anyways, so, and time. So that's why I never got the Nintendo 64. But later on, when I got married, my stepdaughter, she had a Nintendo 64. That's how I met her. She was playing GoldenEye, I think, too, when I walked in, when I was helping my then girlfriend. Well, actually, we weren't even dating yet, so I was helping her out moving and stuff. So anyways, fast forward a bit, and we were family and all that, and so we decided to get the GameCube for a Christmas gift, I think it was. We got that, and my daughter, she got the Game Boy Advance, and was using the capabilities then, but then the whole family, or the three of us at the time, my wife, myself, and my daughter, got the link cables, and this was at the time the SPs were coming out. So we got those to link in this and play games on the GameCube for things like Crystal Chronicles and Four Swords. So a lot of those type of games where we could play using the GameCube, or excuse me, the Game Boy Advance as a controller. Especially one of my favorites was using it in Four Swords, where you could go into the dungeons and see what you were doing on your screen of the Game Boy SP in the game, which I always thought it was cool. And so that's the GameCube was essentially the reason why I got back into Nintendo. And ever since then, it's, here I am back into it. So
awesome.
Sam, what was your experience with the GameCube? You just didn't have one?
No, I did have one. But like I said, I was kind of a late adopter. It probably didn't get as much use as the previous Nintendo consoles, primarily because this was the first time Nintendo had competition within our house. My brother convinced my parents to kind of split with him the cost of a PlayStation 2 because we needed a DVD player, which is why everybody bought a PlayStation 2. So he kind of talked them into getting a PlayStation 2. He put some money down to kind of he bought the game console part and they bought the DVD player part. I don't know how that worked, but up with the PlayStation 2. And so, some of the games we were buying were PS2 games, and some of the games we were buying were GameCube games. So kind of coming to it late, being a little out of the loop as to what was new, what was coming out, I pretty much kind of stuck with some stuff I already knew. So I played a lot of Smash Bros. I played a lot of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, like I said, one of my favorite games, because I loved the N64 game too. But I kind of missed the boat on stuff like Pikmin or Luigi's Mansion. or Odama, which I played recently. But it's stuff that I've never hesitated to go back to because I hear people talk about it a whole lot as, some of their favorite stuff. So I think it's interesting too that the GameCube is sort of this weird black hole when it comes to retro re-releases. That we never got GameCube Virtual Console, and even the remakes, often it's usually not GameCube games. There seems to be this perception amongst game developers and companies that the games of that era aren't worth re-releasing, which I hope changes.
Yeah, the GameCube is definitely different from, say, the games that I was playing on the PlayStation 1. Those games, as we saw with the PlayStation 1 Classic, although the reason that didn't do well was because of the wrong selection of games. But anyways, that's a different topic. The GameCube, I think, did have some great games, especially after coming out of the N64 polygonal type stuff. And like some of the games you might have missed out on, but that we had a blast with, like the Mario Kart Double Dash is one of my favorite Mario Karts. And some others that I can't think of at the moment, but there's quite a few of those, like I said, GameCube games that we had a blast with. So
my son was really looking forward to the Mario 3D collection. So we've got that on Switch, and I'm trying to give Mario Sunshine a go.
That's right. Yeah, Sunshine. Yeah.
I mean, for you guys who play, if you played that on the GameCube, the original hardware, how well did it translate in the re-release?
I'll be honest, I didn't like Sunshine much when it came out. There's people who love Sunshine.
Yeah, it's one of my
Sorry,
favorites.
Dan's not here to defend it.
Yep.
Well, Sunshine is one of my favorites too, and I liked it on the GameCube. And the differences, really, I didn't see any differences. It's still the same problems I even had with it.
The lack of analog, but
yeah,
to my memory, that was never really something you needed to play the game.
Yeah, I don't. Nothing stuck out to me when I was playing it
in
on
the
Switch.
GameCube game. The R button to shoot water with Flood, you could press down further to shoot further, and ease up to draw it in. But typically, the game did not require you to be that precise.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the Switch version, but I feel like I'm coming at it with open eyes because I didn't have the experience with the original console.
Yeah, I'm thankful that they did bring that back because I liked Sunshine, so I'm glad they did bring it. So
I feel like Nintendo.
I wish they would bring more.
Nintendo has decided that they brought their two mainline. They brought Mario to another console, and they brought Wind Waker to another console. And after that, I don't think they mind to bring anything else back.
I want Double Dash back.
We can't even get a new Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I hear
It could be a DLC.
Yeah, I would like to hear. I hear Tim how much he likes this. I'd like it either be Mario Kart 9 or add to the current one. Let's see some 2-player on one cart.
Double Dash 2.
Yes.
It'd be Mario
I'm
Kart.
trying to remember. There was another game I thought of, and I lost it. It's like gone like that.
Knowing Nintendo, would be Mario Kart 9 Double Dash 2 Plus. Or something.
New Mario Kart 9 Double Dash 2.
Ultimate Edition.
Yes.
John.
So we're getting kind of late in the show here.
Yeah, we could talk about the GameCube all day.
Yeah, I'll give my last little bit of GameCube history for myself. GameCube and I have a very weird relationship. I think it's the console that I've owned the most times, if that makes sense. I think I owned at least 3 different GameCubes during its time period that it existed in. I bought one when it fairly early, probably 2 weeks into release, and bought NHL Hits. It was my first game that I actually bought on it. Do Chris proud. And shortly after, Smash came out, and I played a bunch of Smash, and then I decided that there wasn't really a whole lot coming out on the GameCube, and I was, I think I was like a junior in high school, and I was kind of getting tired. I wasn't playing a lot of games, so I sold my GameCube, and then something like probably a year later or so, something came out. I can't remember what it was, but I went straight to the store and bought another GameCube and had that one for a little while, and it broke, and it was right outside of like a return window or having Nintendo replace it through warranty. So that one bit the dust. Then I waited a little bit longer and I bought a third one. So I said, I think I've had 3 of them within that time period. And then I currently own 3 now. So I have a lot of buying GameCubes apparently. Yeah, no, I think
If you own 3 GameCubes, does that mean you have a GameCube cubed?
Yes.
All right, just a math joke.
Trifecta of GameCubes.
You got cubed.
I just was realizing I failed to mention the Metroid Prime series, at least the first 2 games coming out for Cube. I'm sitting there, I was drawing a blank. So I was like, what the heck? I know there's something else. And there's a ton of other things, obviously, the GameCube had. And we've gone into the Metroid series already before in full detail. So, but that's definitely one that was a big hit for me when the GameCube was around. So.
And when it came to GameCube, I played all the things that weren't popular. Like I played Luigi's Mansion, which wasn't very well received. I didn't play Mario Sunshine. I didn't play Wind Waker on the GameCube. I didn't play Double Dash. I didn't play Metroid Prime until way later. I was playing Thousand Year Door, WarioWare, Eternal Darkness, X-Men Legends, things like that is what I was playing. I wasn't playing the Nintendo first-party stuff as much during that time.
Cool.
I mean, I guess Eternal Darkness and Thousand Year Door first party, but I was playing a lot of third party things on my GameCube.
Gotcha. Yeah, one of the awful ones for us was Kirby Air Ride. We loved that game. Had always played that one as well.
I just recently
Kirby racing game.
Yeah, I never played Kirby's Air Ride either.
Yeah, there's still quite a few. I still haven't played Prime. I still haven't played Kirby's Air Ride either. But the prices right now make that difficult.
Hard, yep.
And I have plenty of other stuff to play, so I'll play that. But certainly something I'd like to check out.
We wish they would release some games.
I guess one of the things that is interesting is a game I remember playing perhaps more than any other is the Mega Man Anniversary Collection. This is actually the time I got into classic Mega Man. I didn't grow up with an NES, so this was my first chance to play those games. I grew up with Mega Man X, and that is to date probably my favorite game ever. Maybe. I changed my mind on that a lot. It's probably Mega Man X or Earthbound. But yeah, Mega Man Anniversary Collection. So I don't know what that says about me that my favorite GameCube game is a compilation of mostly NES games, but there you have it.
It means that you didn't play a whole lot of GameCube games then, probably.
Yeah, I'd still probably say Thousand Year Door anyway, or Melee.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to start recollecting GameCube games back slightly before they got too crazy, and it's probably my second largest console collection beside the Switch. Currently, I think I've almost got 100 GameCube games now.
I'm still searching for some missing ones that must be in my parents' basement somewhere. So, wish me luck on that.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll find them, man. I hate seeing or hearing about any missing video games. They should all be found and played, so.
Yeah, well, we have been staying up late enough for Tim to forget about Metroid Prime. So I think that means we need to wrap it up. But before we do, Tim, would you like to tell people about the Nintendo Dads?
Sure. Nintendo Dads, which RetroLogic is a part of the family of Nintendo Dads podcast. We do all kinds of stuff. We do the main Nintendo Dad show on Thursday nights live, and then Friday it's released a podcast. And then we have our YouTube channel where we do lots of reviews and let's plays about games, and especially indie games. We get to check a lot of those out, and we share what we get codes for on that. A lot of community members get to test those out for us and share what they're playing. And then we've got the Dads After Dark, the other podcast there. They do theirs. They release theirs every Tuesday. And then we got Game Pass News. They do their stuff as well every week. I forget whatever day they can get theirs out. Yep. So, so there's lots of content we throw out there for not just dads who play video games, but anybody, especially when you impact kids' lives and you've played video games and want to share video games with those kids. That's where we come in and talk about that kind of stuff.
I would just add that if you go to nintendodads.org, you can see all the socials, and you can see the link to the Patreon. I'm a patron of the Nintendo Dads, where you can join the Discord, you can participate in the contests and monthly mayhem, and Retro Rewind as well. So it's a great community, a lot of great people to talk about games and play games, and joining like the community game night every couple weeks on Saturdays, where we try and play games online with each other. So definitely give it a check.
Yeah, you can go check their YouTube out and see first looks that I do, which I just told Justin today. I think I've hit 75 first looks for you guys over the past year. Definitely.
When you hit 100, let us know. You get company
get a prize.
Company logo.
I was like, I've done so many now that I can't remember like half of the games that I played. I've become a game sampler as well. Isn't that right?
Oh wow. Certainly, highly recommend the Discord. That is, of course, how Dan and John and I met. So, hang out on the Nintendo Dads Discord. You might find some guys to start a podcast with. You never know.
Seems to be how it works.
All right. Well, that's all we have for tonight. So thank you for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, check us out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. And you are welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. That link is also in the bio on Twitter. And you can, of course, find everything on our website at retrologic.games. Until next time, good night, everyone.
Bye now.
Congrats on 50 episodes, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Good night, peeps. Oh, what are brakes? What is this?
Get a bio break in
take
the middle.
breaks. You gotta
What
stay
is
in
this
peak
brake thing?
condition.
You just. What is this? What the heck?
Take a pit stop.
You're not live anymore, man. You can do things.
Yep.
That's true. That's true. Makes sense.
I guess everybody's good.
Yep.
I'm good here. I'm used to, sitting here for 3 hours. So
3 hours. We got
All right.